Today on Earth Unplugged, we're going to be showing you some of our favourite nature hacks. One of the most crucial things in any outdoor situation is to find your bearings. And one of the easiest ways to do that is with the sun. So we know the sun travels east to west through the sky. So by placing a stick vertically in the ground, we can track the top of its shadow over a period of time by putting down little stones or leaves, and that should give us a good east to west line. So the first leaf I put down is going to represent west, and then as the sun heads through the sky west, its shadow is going to head east, which gives us a really nice east to west line. And then the perpendicular to that will be north and south. I've got a handy little compass tool here, and sure enough, north that way, south that way, west and east, right down this line. If it's cloudy, there are other natural signs to help you get your bearings. Like trees, for example. Trees are actually rarely symmetrical. The side that faces the sun the most tends to have the longer, flowing, heavier branches. And in this case, it's definitely this side. And because we're in the northern hemisphere, the side that gets the most sun is going to be facing south. And sure enough, in this tree, we can see it's very one-sided. And because I've got a compass, I can see that is indeed facing south. So moss is another great indicator. It loves moisture, so it tends to hang out on the shady, sheltered side of a tree, just like we can see here, which in the northern hemisphere is going to be north, away from the sun, and in the southern hemisphere is going to be south. And you can really see that incredible marking. And sure enough, Mr. Compass agrees. Another crucial skill is learning to make a fire, and sometimes you've just got to be resourceful. One of the oldest tricks in the book is taking a little bit of cotton wool that already looks like fantastic tinder and rubbing it with petroleum jelly or Vaseline. Other brands are available, and this just goes up beautifully. And once you've sort of soaked it in that jelly, you can just pop it in your survival bag and you're away. And the stuff's so flammable you can even light it with a flint and steel. It's nice and easy. Beautiful. It's also possible to create a spark using a chewing gum wrapper and a battery. The really thin metal in the chewing gum wrapper is a great conductor. And so if I were to connect these two ends, the electricity would run through and actually make the wrapper very hot and ignite the paper. But I'm not going to do this because, in fact, it can very rarely cause the battery to short and explode in your hand, in which case you'd be much worse off. As we saw in our slow-mo with sorted food, citrus fruit has loads of flammable oils inside its skin. So in fact, dried citrus fruit makes great tinder. And not only that, but it'll burn for longer than newspaper, it'll give you a nice smell in your camp, and it'll even keep the insects away. Frighteningly, tortilla chips make great kindling, and this is because they're fried in oil and then covered in powdered flammable fats, normally flavoured with cheese, which is why they're so delicious, but also might just save your life. If you are going to try any of this at home, please be careful. Make sure the fire can't get out of control, and make sure you've got something to douse the flames. It's always a good idea to know how many hours of daylight you've got left, particularly before setting up camp. And there's a really easy trick to do just that. If you hold your hand out as far as you can away from your body and hold it up to the horizon, every digit between the horizon and the sun on your hand is about 15 minutes. So at the moment, I've got about half an hour, which seems like a pretty good time to wrap this up. So I hope you've enjoyed all these handy little hacks, and if you've got any of your own, do share them in the comments below, and otherwise we'll see you next time on Earth Unplugged. Today, how to deal with the painful, stinging harbinger of tears that every man, woman and child loathes with a seething torrent of hatred, the nettle. So fire tornadoes, fire whirls, flame-nados, whatever you want to call them, they almost always start the same way in the wild, with a bushfire.
Well, I'll get this one started then for you, mate.
Cheers, man.